Hello, and welcome to the 2023 Specialty Crop Block Grant Program, or Scbgp, Solicitation Process webinar. This presentation will provide an overview of the entire grant solicitation process. In preparing to submit a concept proposal, the first and most important thing to do is to read the Request for Concept Proposals, or RFCP. What we are reviewing today is covered in greater detail in the RFCP. The areas covered are listed here and include information about the program, the solicitation timeline, how to apply, and frequently asked questions. The purpose of the Scbgp is to enhance the competitiveness of California specialty crops. This means that a proposed project must pertain to issues that affect the specialty crop industry and focus on improving the competitiveness of specialty crops. For a project to be allowable under this program, the proposal must clearly demonstrate that all activities and costs benefit the specialty crop industry rather than directly benefit or provide a profit to a single organization, institution, or individual. If you are already familiar with the Scbgp, here are a few of the changes to the program this year. The maximum grant duration has changed to 2 years and 8 months. Grant funds cannot be expended before November 1st, 2023, or after June 30th, 2026. Please note that no cost extensions will no longer be available. Grant amounts were changed for the Additional Assistance Program and are now $100,000 to $250,000. Grant duration for this program has also been extended to 2 years and 8 months. Finally, several program priorities have been updated. Please review them carefully when selecting a program priority or priorities for your project. We'll go over a few changes on the next slide. These are some of the updates to the program priorities. In the marketing category, language was reworded to make the focus more on the outcomes of marketability, awareness, and increased sales, and to be more inclusive. In Access, Education, and Training, Category B, Priorities 1 and 2 were combined. Priority 3 was updated to directly target water conservation. Priorities 6 through 8 were combined and edited to focus on assisting specialty crop farmers in adapting to the ongoing impacts of COVID-19. Priority 5 was added to align the conservation therein with the NASDA 2023 Farm Bill priorities. Lastly, Priority 7 was added, which will focus on outreach to increase the safety and security of the specialty crop food system. In Research Category B, language was also updated to better align with language used in NASDA priorities surrounding invasive species, and Priority 3 was updated to specifically include invasive plant and pest species. A new priority was also added. There have been some minor changes to the allowable and unallowable costs and activities table. As always, we recommend that you refer to the current table as you prepare your proposal. Also, new states have been included in Travel Ban AB 1887. Finally, Executive Order N-622 holds that by submitting a proposal or application, the applicant represents that it is not a target of economic sanctions, nor is the applicant conducting prohibited transactions with sanctioned individuals or entities. Outcome measurement and the associated indicators developed by USDA were recently updated in 2022. Please note that all marketing and promotion projects, as well as all proposals submitted to the Grown in California funding category, must identify one or more sub-indicators, A, B, or C, from Outcome 1, Indicator 1.5, increasing consumption and consumer purchasing of specialty crops. Applicants can now expect new outcome language that aligns more precisely with grant program goals and new indicators making it easier to measure a project's period of performance. Again, please visit the Scbgp website for the dates and times of our other webinars that will cover this in more detail. So, what are specialty crops? Specialty crops are defined as vegetables, tree nuts, and fruits, including dried fruits, culinary and medicinal herbs and spices, and nursery, floriculture, and horticultural crops. Funds must not benefit non-specialty crops such as dairy, livestock, or any other ineligible commodities. Note that cannabis is not a specialty crop. A list of eligible and ineligible commodities can be found on the U.S. Department of Agriculture or USDA's website and is also included with the materials in the Handouts tab on the GoToWebinar dashboard. The list is not intended to be all-inclusive, but rather to give examples of the most common specialty crops. If there is a commodity you are questioning that is not on the eligible specialty crop list, please send us an email and we will be happy to speak with the USDA for clarification. This is how funding for the program works. The USDA receives funding from the Farm Bill, then approved funding goes to CDFA, and CDFA subawards the funds to recipients. The 2014 Farm Bill contains provisions for the continuation of this program. However, as of the date of this webinar, Congress has not passed a new Farm Bill or a continuing budget resolution to reauthorize funding for the program. While CDFA anticipates continued funding for the program, as described in the 2014 Farm Bill, grant awards will only be made if continuing authorization for the program is established and funds are made available by USDA AMS. To provide an idea of the program's competitiveness, historically, CDFA has funded approximately 23% of proposals submitted. In 2021, CDFA received approximately $22 million. Expecting roughly the same amount this year, CDFA will award grant funds to projects ranging from $100,000 to $500,000. Please note that the CDFA reserves the right to offer an award less than the amount requested. Note that we will cover the Additional Assistance Program later in the presentation. However, the funding for projects submitted to this program range from $100,000 to $250,000. In addition, the grant duration is now 2 years, 8 months for all proposals beginning November 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2026. Entities eligible to apply to the Scbgp include nonprofit and for-profit organizations, local, state, federal, and tribal government entities, and public and private colleges and universities. Importantly, individuals may not apply. An individual is someone submitting an application on their own behalf rather than as a representative of an organization or institution. If you are an individual and you have an idea for a project, we encourage you to partner with one or more eligible organizations. Note again that the eligibility for the Additional Assistance Program is more limited. We will review the specific requirements in more detail later in this presentation. The solicitation process is a two-phase process. In Phase 1, applicants submit concept proposals for their projects. Proposals go through an administrative and technical review, and applicants with successful proposals are invited to participate in Phase 2, submission of a grant proposal. CDFA will advise all applicants whether they are invited to submit a grant proposal. In Phase 2, applicants submit a grant proposal that contains a more detailed description of their projects. For applicants invited back, the feedback from the administrative and technical reviews will be available in Amplifund to assist in preparation of the grant proposal. For all other applicants, the feedback will be provided within 60 days. Proposals that are successful in Phase 2 will be submitted to the USDA for review. Once the USDA announces awards, we will notify both the successful and the unsuccessful applicants. Feedback from the review process will be provided for unsuccessful applicants, and grant agreements will be initiated for applicants that will be awarded funds. As mentioned, concept and grant proposals undergo 2 levels of review, the administrative review and the technical review. The administrative review is an internal review conducted by CDFA to verify proposal completeness and eligibility requirements in accordance with program guidelines. In other words, were all the questions answered? Was the budget testing completed? Were all the costs allowable? And so on. The technical review is an external review conducted by a committee composed of growers and representatives from the industry. Technical review committee members use their expertise to evaluate proposals based on individual merit and consider many factors, including if the proposed project is a priority for the specialty crop industry and the proposal's likelihood for success. Please note that the press release soliciting technical reviewers is currently accessible on the CDFA Scbgp website. We encourage those who are interested in participating as a technical reviewer to visit our website for more information. If you have questions about being a technical reviewer, please contact us via the grants email at grants@cdfa.ca.gov. As noted in the beginning, the timeline for the entire solicitation process can be found in the RFCP. Please note that concept proposals are due on Friday, September 16th, 2022 at 5:00 p.m. Pacific Time, and that late submissions will not be accepted. Applicants will be notified in December whether they are invited to Phase 2 and will have approximately 1 month to submit grant proposals. The Technical Review Committee has about the same amount of time to review grant proposals and submit recommendations to CDFA, which will then be presented at a public meeting in March. CDFA will submit the proposal recommendations to the USDA in May and wait for the USDA's final say regarding which projects receive funding. We anticipate announcing and awarding funds in the fall of 2023. Scbgp has 3 funding areas: market enhancement, access, education and training, and research. You can see them all on this slide. Within each funding area, there are 1 or 2 funding categories. As part of the concept proposal, applicants must select the funding category for which the proposal is most appropriate. Further, each funding category contains several program priorities. Projects must address at least one of the program priorities listed under the selected funding category. For example, if an applicant determines that their project fits best in Research Category A, which is Environmental Stewardship, Conservation, and Climate-Smart Agriculture, they will also need to select at least one program priority within that funding category. The program priorities are listed on the next few slides, but more importantly, can also be found in the RFCP. This year, CDFA will again award funds to the Additional Assistance Program, which will be discussed in more detail later. Within the Market Enhancement funding area, there is only one funding category, Category A, which is called Grown in California. Proposals submitted to this category should enhance the marketability and long-term competitiveness of specialty crops by leveraging the unique qualities of specialty crops grown in California. In other words, they should highlight the unique qualities and characteristics of specialty crops because they are grown in California. There are 7 program priorities within this funding category. This slide shows the first 4. Here are the remaining 3. Although we won't review the program priorities here, please reference the RFCP and read each one carefully to determine which program priority or priorities are appropriate for your project. The next funding area is Access, Education, and Training. This funding area has 2 funding categories. Funding Category A is called Healthy Specialty Crops for All Californians. Proposals submitted in this category should improve access to and consumption of specialty crops in underserved communities and/or improve the public's knowledge and understanding of specialty crop agriculture and its beneficial importance to the health and well-being of all Californians. There are 6 program priorities in this category. Here are the first 3. Here are the remaining program priorities for Access, Education, and Training Category A. Again, please review the RFCP to read them in detail. Funding Category B in the Access, Education, and Training funding area is Equity, Opportunity, and Education for All California Specialty Crop Farmers. Proposals submitted to this funding category should benefit current and future specialty crop farmers by providing education and training, including improving equity through culturally appropriate education and training for socially disadvantaged farmers in areas including business development and regulatory compliance. There are 7 program priorities in this funding category. This slide shows the first 3. And here are the last 4. The last funding area, Research, has 3 funding categories. Funding Category A is called Environmental Stewardship, Conservation, and Climate-Smart Agriculture. Proposals submitted to this category should address specialty crop agriculture's potential to mitigate and/or adapt to climate change, contribute to conservation of agricultural land and water, and/or enhance soil health. This funding category has 6 program priorities. Here are the first 3. Here are the other 3 program priorities for Research Category A. Funding Category B in the research funding area is called Plant Health and Pest Management. Proposals submitted to this funding category should address pests and diseases that affect the production of California's specialty crops. There are 5 program priorities in this category. Here they are. The final funding category in the research funding area is Category C, Food Safety. For this funding category, CDFA partners with the Center for Produce Safety, or CPS, to utilize the technical expertise of their grant reviewers in the area of food safety. The Center for Produce Safety releases a separate solicitation, conducts a technical review, and submits recommendations to CDFA. Please visit their website for more information. In addition, CPS contact information is provided in the RFCP and at the end of this presentation for those interested in submitting a food safety proposal. The final funding area is the Additional Assistance Program. The intent of this program is to facilitate the participation of organizations that have been historically underrepresented in the Scbgp. Please note that to be eligible to apply, applicants must be a nonprofit organization or a tribal government that has not previously received Scbgp funding and have knowledge and experience in either supporting socially disadvantaged and beginning farmers or providing nutrition education and/or access to specialty crops in underserved communities. Applicants to the Additional Assistance Program will complete the same application as all other funding areas and go through a technical review. Concept proposals selected for advancement in this program will receive assistance from CDFA in developing a full proposal for submission to the USDA. In addition, this funding area includes some additional requirements. As mentioned, only nonprofit organizations and tribal governments are eligible for this program. This means that individuals, for-profit organizations, local, state, and federal government entities, and public or private colleges and universities are not eligible to apply. If you are a first-time applicant to the Scbgp, it is not mandatory for you to apply to the Additional Assistance Program. However, organizations who do apply to the Additional Assistance Program cannot apply to any other funding category. Organizations can submit no more than 1 proposal to the Additional Assistance Program. In other words, your 1 application to the Additional Assistance Program can be the only application you submit to the Scbgp for 2023. Proposals submitted to this program can only request funds between $100,000 and $250,000. The Additional Assistance Program has 2 funding categories. The first funding category is Category A, Improving Specialty Crop Nutrition Education and Access for All Californians. Proposals submitted to this category should seek to increase access to and consumption of healthy and safe California specialty crops for improved nutrition and overall health. For this funding category, applicants may select any of the program priorities in Funding Area 2, Access Education and Training, Category A, which is the Healthy Specialty Crops for All Californians funding category, and/or one of the 2 program priorities specific to the Improving Specialty Crop Nutrition Education and Access for All Californians category. Those program priorities can be seen here. Funding Category B is called Supporting Beginning and Socially Disadvantaged Specialty Crop Farmers. Proposals submitted to this category should benefit beginning or socially disadvantaged specialty crop farmers through education and training and increase socially disadvantaged farmer engagement with the agricultural industry. For this funding category, applicants may select any of the program priorities in Funding Area 2, Access Education and Training Category B, which is the Equity, Opportunity, and Education for All California Specialty Crop Farmers, and/or one of the 4 program priorities specific to the Supporting Beginning and Socially Disadvantaged Specialty Crop Farmers funding category. These are the 4 program priorities specific to Additional Assistance Category B. Again, please review the request for concept proposals for these and any other program categories. Concept proposals for the SCBGP are submitted through a web-based application called Amplifund. All proposals must be submitted electronically using the Amplifund platform. Each applicant will need to set up a user account to access Amplifund, which will also be where feedback from the administrative and technical reviews will be made available. As indicated, a webinar that provides a walkthrough of how to use the Amplifund system is offered as part of our webinar series. A complete concept proposal must provide information for each of the areas listed here. As mentioned before, the Amplifund Concept Proposal and Outcome Measures and Budget Sections webinar covers the elements of the concept proposal in detail. Please note that, at this time, the USDA has not provided CDFA or any other State Department of Agriculture with a request for applications or the terms and conditions for the 2023 Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. If necessary, CDFA will prepare and make available a supplement to the RFCP to advise applicants of any changes to the program upon receipt of the USDA's request for applications. CDFA and all applicants will be subject to the terms and conditions of the USDA's request for applications and terms and conditions. Because funding for the SCBGP is provided by the federal government, all organizations submitting concept proposals to the SCBGP are subject to the federal cost principles. Federal cost principles are regulations based on organization type used to determine allowable costs and ensure consistent treatment of costs. Applicants are responsible for identifying the federal cost principles appropriate to their organization and ensuring consistent application of the cost principles to the SCBGP grant funds. All organizations, other than for-profit organizations, are subject to the administrative requirements and cost principles in the 2 CFR 200. For-profit organizations are subject to the 48 CFR Subpart 31.2. Links to these regulations have been provided in the RFCP. However, to help simplify the interpretation of these regulations, we have prepared an allowable and unallowable costs and activities table reference. The table provides overall guidance for the handling of common costs and includes USDA and CDFA requirements specific to this program. A copy has been provided in the Handouts tab, and a link to the online document is provided in the RFCP. Note that proposals with unallowable costs may be subject to disqualification, so we strongly encourage you to make use of this reference. Please be aware that any of the following may also result in the disqualification of a concept proposal. Proposals from individual applicants, incomplete proposals, including proposals with one or more unanswered questions, proposals that include activities outside the grant duration, proposals for less than the minimum award amount or more than the maximum award amount, proposals with unallowable costs or activities necessary to complete the project objectives, which includes indirect costs that exceed the limit set forth in the RFCP, proposals submitted to the Additional Assistance Program by organizations that are ineligible to apply. And we would also like to note that having an active exclusion in the Federal System for Award Management, or SAM, may also be grounds for disqualification of a proposal. To learn more about registering in SAM or to determine your organization's current status, please visit sam.gov. We will conduct 3 rounds of questions and answers, or Q&A. Any questions that you may have after the webinar can be submitted via email to grants@cdfa.ca.gov at any time during the Q&A process. To ensure everyone has an equal opportunity to receive the same information, we do request that questions received outside of our webinars be in writing. New questions and answers will be posted each week beginning on Friday, September 2nd, 2022. The final deadline to submit questions is September 13th, 2022 by 8 a.m. Pacific time. Here are some of the resources that were discussed in this presentation. A good place to start is the CDFA SCBGP website. A link to the recordings of our webinars will be posted on our website by Friday, September 2nd. Another resource to submit questions is to the CDFA grants email address. We've also provided the website and phone number for the Center for Produce Safety. Additionally, the USDA AMS website contains a lot of great information about the SCBGP. However, please note that you should direct all questions to CDFA, as USDA will always refer you back to us. This concludes the solicitation presentation.